some of the worst pressure you can put yourself and your family on is trying to follow your dreams when you're under financial pressure. And this is where you make silly decisions about hiring the wrong clients or working with the wrong people. And I've been that soldier for way too many times, and I would never do it again.
E-Mark and A-Mark is on. What? E-Mark and A-Mark is on.
Who?
Tell your friends, tell your dog, tell your mom.
Tell what?
E-Mark and A-Mark is on. Oh, hey mom. E-Mark and A-Mark is on.
We're back with another episode of E-Mark and A-Mark, and we are super excited to be here at the Digital Agency Expo yet again with another one of the keynote speakers. We're here with Clodagh Higgins, who is a digital agency coach and consultant. Her company is Grow It Group. Clodagh, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely delighted to be kidnapped and in a room with the most impressive podcast setup I've ever seen on the road. Traveling Wilburys you are.
Oh my goodness.
And when you came
so
over
much.
and we had a great chat yesterday at the conference, I just knew your energy, and you said, do you want to come to our hotel room? We're recording a podcast.
We're recording ...
Hell yes.
And you didn't even think about it. You're like, when?
Yeah, hell
Sign me up.
So very impressive, guys. Delighted. This is, making content happen. So absolutely love to be here, and let's have a good old chat.
Awesome. Absolutely. Well, we're going to start out by getting a little bit about your past and your history. So, Mark, I'll let you kick it off with a few of those questions, and then we'll dive into some more of the tactical things about what it is you actually do for people.
Super.
Absolutely. So, Clodagh, as I've mentioned to you before, your personality, it is just much. You have a lot of personality, and it's rare to meet people that have personality, but then actually go out and embrace people, and that's what you do. So just kind of fill us in. Where did that come from? Your mom, your dad?
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a great one. Actually, my dad's an entrepreneur. He's been, he left school very young, never finished his schooling, high school as we would have it in Ireland at secondary school. He went out to take care of his mum, and he's had multiple business. He was in the show business. He was in tickets, and it was in a band. And he's it would be my inspiration, and he's a very funny guy. He was in the show business industry, but never drank or never smoked, doesn't gamble, doesn't do drugs, and was just one of those fun guys. He was the driver, and he's still out there working away in various different business ventures. He never really retired. And he's so youthful and young and embrace anything. He's the guy that will send me new music or things to watch on Netflix. And
Right.
I think that youthful Peter Pan, age is just a number, definitely comes from him. And him and my mother have the most real, beautiful, honest marriage that I had the privilege of growing up in. She is totally opposite of my dad. She's extremely glamorous and very... emotional, like very passionate woman, very strong woman, and she was there to support him in his career. She was behind the scenes and helping him be who he could be. He worked away from home for a very long time. He missed a lot of my childhood and my sister. Yeah. He was a weekend dad, because he worked so hard for us, but she did a great job of making us strong females and have personality. And I was very lucky to grow up in that marriage, to see a real marriage, how it works. And the two of them, they're very different, but they work really well together. And even though everyone thinks it's my dad that is, would be my encourager, while he's very proud of me, it's always my mum that I would hear her voice go, you can do anything. You can do you can be anything. So when I get asked opportunities like, do you want to speak at this thing? Do you want, my first thing is, yes, I can do that. And that comes from her. So it's been, it's been a real journey just having those two different types of role models in my life. There's a lot of fun between them. There's an awful lot of laughter. Yeah. There is rarely, in our family WhatsApp group, there's rarely a serious thing can happen, but it's rare that it wouldn't last 2 minutes without a bit of a joke going on. But that's how we handle everything in our lives. So I think that's where it comes from, those two, my parents.
Yeah, and you definitely personify kind of the nature of your parents. I can definitely tell they were very welcoming people or not going people. So this is definitely a podcast, so some people may just hear of it through their ear and not see the video component that's attached to this on Facebook or YouTube or anything. So for those ladies perhaps watching this, they definitely see your hair and just how full and lively and gorgeous it is. Is there any secrets and tips you want to share real quick about that, or are we just gonna float by that?
No, I was, my mom's very thick hair, and I've inherited that as well, which is great. But I've been actually, we'll plug them and send it to them. Maybe they'll send me some free product. There's a company in Ireland called Revive, and I've been drinking their collagen product for a few months, and that's why it's made my hair even thicker and fuller. But I think the hair color happened as an accident. I accidentally put too much purple shampoo in, and I accidentally got a lilac tinge that then developed into what I call full Barney. When I go to the hairdressers, I'll ask for full Barney.
I'll do the full Barney today.
Or she'll go, well, let's do 70% Barney. So that's the purple level that we hit. It's been a real differentiator, that, and my leggings. I started following this on an amazing company called Black Milk. They only sell online. They have the most wonderful kitchen table startup story. If you ever Google them and listen to their podcast, a fabulous example of how to do marketing, how to get engagement, how to build a community. And the thing that happened kind of almost at the same time as I was working in HubSpot, I was 40. The average age was 25. I realized I had to start to reinvent myself. And so 6 years ago, I made the decision that I wanted to wear something different. So I made a uniform of like black runners, leggings, and a black top. So I would change the leggings. And if I didn't wear leggings, people in the office felt uncomfortable. They didn't like what they saw. They were like, why are you looking like everyone else? And so the leggings kind of became a thing, and the hair became a thing. And I do, I am not that. That's not who I am, but I enjoy that it is an icebreaker. Yeah. It's a conversation starter. And I really appreciate that. And I very highly encourage anyone to get, especially when you're at these events, to get some identity or brand or a look, or maybe it's you wear a white t-shirt with a pin, or maybe it's something you do that will connect. Be yourself in your personality. I think is a great tip I would give anyone, male or female, coming to an event.
Absolutely. So I don't know if this is the case in Ireland, where they may think American accents are sexy, like we think of you guys' accents is just really cool and very sexy. Is that the case, or no? You guys just find American accents just not attractive at all? I
think it's it does depend on, you've such a huge country. And then if you think of Southern American accents, the y'alls and the draws, like I personally love a bit of ma'am, and a Texan, like, call me ma'am and I'm gone.
Yes, ma'am.
So I love that. So I think it does depend on the region, but if I had to sit in a room with a Valley girl, I'd definitely be running out the door, that whole and literally this.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, oh my God. So I think it does depend on the region, but I'm a big fan of Southern and Texan draws. I actually worked with a lot of Texans when I lived in Australia for a while. So I really appreciate their style, and they're laid back. That's
you are married, correct?
No.
Oh, guys, if you are from the South, you got that Southern drawl.
Call me ma'am. I'll say yes.
Call her ma'am and put her in a cab.
Yes, thank you.
Or invite her to your hotel room and just tell her you're recording.
In a podcast. And propose. Yeah. So I know, never, just not something that was ever, I think growing up, I don't know where it came from. I don't know what it is. I haven't dug that deep, but marriage, even though I grew up in a beautiful marriage, it was probably a little bit too high of a pedestal for me, that I went, until I meet a man like my dad and it's going to look like this. It just never happened. It wasn't something that I wanted to do, and I adore my niece and my nephew, but I'm not a maternal person. It wasn't something I felt was for me. So fortunately, I have one younger sister. She is incredible. She's I didn't like her when I was growing up, but she's amazing. And she has given my parents and me the two most incredibly beautiful children with the most gorgeous souls. So I get to be an aunt, and I get to be maternal through them. And that for me is very satisfying. So very happy that I'm at that stage, that I didn't want them. I didn't want kids. I have other ways of expressing my maternal affection and love through my niece and my nephew. And yeah, marriage, I've been in long-term relationships, but it wasn't a thing that I wanted to do. And I think it's just like everything. I didn't focus on it and it didn't come out. That's the way it is. But definitely open if there is an amazing man that would stop me in my tracks and that was interesting enough to spend time with. But otherwise, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. So, Clodagh, this is a podcast where we bring in entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders, and really people who are pursuing their dreams, goals, and success, right? And oftentimes people look at people such as yourself who travels the world, travels the country, and they're living their best life. They're pursuing what they want. And of course, you worked hard for it, but people forget you didn't just arrive here. Digital agency didn't just call you because, well, we like her name. I think she'd be good at just giving a talk, right?
Yeah.
No, you had to build a platform for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So before we talk about that, I want to dive into the path you took to get into the point you are now. So just give us a brief summary. Why are you an entrepreneur? How did you get into, even wanting to be an entrepreneur? What was your upbringing like that influenced your decision to go down this course of life instead of working for corporate America?
Yeah. Well, luckily enough, I've actually had both sides. I've been able to work for a big corporate. I worked for Dell in sales, a big corporate American company. I worked for Sony, big Japanese company, and I also worked for HubSpot. But deep inside me, from the very beginning, I can totally identify it, and I still have one of my earliest memories of when I was about maybe 6 or 7. I had Cindy to play with, and I ended up making things for Cindy, making her a couch, making her a dress, making her things for her. I didn't play with her, I made things. And my dad had a record shop it would have been the early 80s. He had it for a long time, but at 11, I begged him. I said, I want to earn my pocket money. I did not want to be given pocket money at 11. I wanted to work for it.
So you said no to your allowance.
Correct. I said I wanted to earn it. So I went in and started to learn retail at the age of 11. And with my pocket money, I would go, my grandmother was a seamstress for the Royal Cork Ballet. And so I have the skill of making clothes, knitting, sewing, crocheting that my mum taught me how to do. It's like in our family. So I would work, I would make clothes, and that's how I kind of express myself. And I guess that's where it started. So I've always been passionate about making things, like I just love spending time on something and walking away and going, oh my goodness, I spent 4 hours and I can physically see that. So that's where it kind of started. I was terrible in school. I actually found out at the age of 35 that I had ADHD. It just never got diagnosed because in the 80s in Ireland, if you weren't paying attention in school or behaving in the way that society could see, you were just told you were a bold child, or why are you doing this for, to hurt us? Why aren't you studying in class? But
so did they see you as a failure in that sense then, or was it more like you're not going to be...
Yeah, just why was I not realising my potential? Okay. Like if you looked at my reports for all my school, classic ADHD. It's like not paying attention, daydreaming. She's very clever, but she's not studying. She's not applying herself. Now, very fortunately, I was not diagnosed because I have a fear that it would have been the only solution would be go straight on Ritalin. And I think my life would have looked extremely different from there. So...
Ritalin is the counter drug to ADHD.
That's
correct?
right. Yeah, it's basically pure amphetamine, so you can have that. But anyway, that was that side of it. I managed to scrape through school with very below average results and got myself into a college degree for business. But within a few months, I couldn't listen to the people at the front of the room who had never run a business tell me how I was going to run. And I ran out of it and just went straight into starting to work and starting to just work in different jobs and in bars. And then at 22, I had the real just absolute privilege of taking a job with HubSpot, with Dell Computers. They were ballooning in Ireland. They had sales jobs, and a friend of mine said, he went, get into a company that's going to invest in you, and you're going to learn with, and you're going to learn business, and you can travel the world.
Absolutely.
And that's what I did. I picked a company. I was very strategic, and I teach people this now. Write your wish list of everything you could possibly imagine. Who are the people you're working with? Where is it located? How much are you getting paid? What's your day like? What's your week like? What's your month like?
So you essence really want to dictate your life, not have someone else dictate it for you. You actually want to operate in your natural gifts and talents instead of just having a job because, well, everyone else has a job, I need one. So you really wanted to have your say in your life, and that part of that is having a job you actually want to do.
That's
correct?
right, yeah. So I made a conscious list of things that I wanted, and I went for it. And that's where the start of my career started out. Even though I loved the entrepreneurial side, I knew that this was going to get me to where I wanted to be, and worldwide travel and better business knowledge.
Yeah. So did you know at that time that you would at one point be a business owner? Was that clear to you, or did you think you would stay with Dell and that would be your career path for life? I guess I don't know which part of it is. I don't really think much more than a couple of years at a time. Even though I know in my head what my 10-year plan is and what I want to do in the 10 years and what it looks like, the vision, I just sort of focus on the next 2 years. So that's all I did. I had 2 years in Ireland, then an opportunity came up. I look at opportunities come up. I think if you're doing what you love and you're being who you are, opportunities are going to come up, and you can just look at them and go, is that opportunity going to help me do what I'm going to do? Is it right for me? And some of them you can quash if you have your wish list, because you can always come back to it. We're always going to get opportunities. Right.
So I got an opportunity to work in the UK for 2 years. So they moved me to just outside of London. I had a great time there, learned a lot. And then I had an opportunity to move to Australia. So they flew me lock, stock and barrel, just because I could sell, down to another country. And it's advice I give young people all the time. I was going, I had the best time working for a corporate. Yes, I was an entrepreneur. Yes, it's in my blood. But I've had the best times by giving them what they need, good sales, whatever the role is. Give them the best of your skills and have a list of what you want as well. So I got to move to Australia. I had a whole other life down there for 12 years. I had the best time. I got to see most of Australia, what I call executive backpacking, because I had work trips. Right. And at the end of a work trip, I'd stay for the weekend. And that's kind of where it started. I think it was okay because I was getting everything that I wanted in Dell. And then I moved to Sony. Again, a conscious move of I wanted to be in a company car. I wanted to be out on the road. I wanted more money. I wanted an up-and-coming industry, which at the time it was with flat screen TVs, and they were on the up. They had Walkman. They had invented that. Do you know what that is? Do I have to explain?
Walkman. That was like a little iPod-like thing.
Before the iPod.
Before the iPod.
You put in a tape player.
Yeah, that's right, or a CD. It was, but that was a fascinating journey working with a Japanese company. So I had this plan. That's what I do every time. It's very deliberate. And so I moved and I had 5 years with them, an amazing time, got to travel to amazing places. And towards the end of that, it was when I was diagnosed with ADHD, because I had been working with people and I was I couldn't finish tasks. I was the top sales girl. I was owning 20% of the company budget. Wow. I had a big job. I had big responsibilities, but I couldn't fill in complicated spreadsheets. So one of the side effects, or just challenges that I have, is I can make a really, really complicated spreadsheet myself. I can build one, but if you give me yours, I pretty much can't read it. I will be looking at it forever. And what happened was I kept getting into trouble. I was bringing in a big deal, but I hadn't done the spreadsheet right to get the discount for the deal. And
so the information was not meshing up.
And I thought I was losing my mind. I thought something was wrong with my brain. Did I have a tumor? So I went to the doctor, explained. And she went, I think you're okay. Let's scan and everything. And she went, it just sounds like, let's send you to a therapist, a counsellor. And as I'm sitting there, she goes, will you read a book for me? And I think it's about the positive side of ADHD. And she goes, will you read it with an open mind? And I read it and I cried. And I went, oh my goodness, this is me. And I had a lot of grief about the pain I caused my parents. You know, I was a challenging teenager. They thought I was just being awkward. I just had ADHD.
Yeah.
And it was around that time that I realized I can't be in a corporate job anymore. I have this entrepreneurial thing, and I had taken and embraced LinkedIn, Facebook at the time. We're talking 2008. Any new thing that was coming out, I was on Twitter. I was absorbing everything.
Yeah.
I'm a real, just download it and try it person.
Yeah. You wanted to be ahead of the curve.
I will just, I've got a TikTok account. I haven't posted anything yet because I
You're
download
obsessed with what's new.
and I observe. I go download that and let's watch and then it goes, okay, now I know what to post.
Right.
And I think that's the difference with a lot of people think they have to post something straight away. I won't post for a while until I go, I've got this. I know what I'm posting.
You understand it and understand what the platform is all about.
Yeah.
Clodagh, so you're. I have my own opinion on this, but I'd love to hear your take on it. So sales seems very prominent for you, and I'd say rather easy. I could be wrong in that, but I think the reason you'd be good at sales is because you're so warm. You're such a warm and inviting person.
Thank you.
Right? Do you think anybody who just has personality could be a salesman? Or is being a good salesman or saleswoman something that can just be taught and personality doesn't really matter?
Yeah, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of salespeople over the last, I've been working now for 24 years in this, since I had my first big job. I think it can, the skills can be taught. You see Mark Roberge yesterday, his talk on sales.
I did not, no.
Yeah, he's got a great sales deck and process and what you do. And I think there's two things I know that, yes, it can be taught, but the person has to be able to just not take rejection personally and really believe in what they're selling. And I personally believe today you actually can't sell. People buy. So you better talk to them and help, just don't get in the way. They know a lot more than you. They've been researching. So just do not get in the way. Help, present, listen. And I think having a lot of fun with it. I don't think I can't sell to agency owners because I can't tell them what they're doing wrong. They have to know what they're doing wrong and they have to ask me for help.
Right.
And I think that's the big difference, is just don't get in the way as a salesperson today. Follow a process. But if you don't believe in the product, get into something that you really believe in and have fun. If you're selling to someone, you could be working with them for the rest of your life. You don't know how often they could move industries. You could be selling them something else in the future. You could move. I believe in the relationships and people that I meet, the stories and what's their problem. How can I help? This might work.
So you currently own a business as a consultant, right?
Yes.
2 digital marketing agencies.
That's right.
Did you own your own business before?
Yeah.
Have you sold any? I mean, how then? Let's talk about how you are at the step you are now, owning your own business.
Cool. So as I left Sony, I had been on LinkedIn and I would go for dinner with friends and they're going, God, I can't figure out this social media thing at all. And I'm going, I figured out a few things. And it just unfolded like that. All of a sudden, I had people asking me to consult to them. So I started off doing small consultancy gigs for friends. And then I turned around and went, oh, I have a business. So the consultancy, then I needed to outsource and I needed to hire some people to help me do it. And it was around 2008 that I was Googling how marketing techniques or online marketing, and I found HubSpot. And I built the inbound methodology into what I was doing, and I was in Sydney, Australia at the time.
So you're mentioning HubSpot a lot. Do you want to quickly explain what HubSpot is to people?
Yeah, so it's an American software company that does all-in-one sales, CRM, marketing, website, automation, platform and services now as well. So they're listed on the stock exchange.
And when you started there, I mean, today they're a pretty big company. They're well known in the industry. Were they that large when you started there?
Nobody knew about them. There was only a few hundred people with 2008, I'd say there was only a few hundred people in Cambridge, and I was in Sydney, and they had a reseller program and they were looking for agencies. So I came across them there, and I had the agency in Sydney right up until about 2012. But what happened was things had kind of kicked in for me. I had moved to New Zealand for a while for a relationship that didn't work out, thankfully. And I moved back to Sydney and everything was disconnected in my life. And the calling came for me to go home. And what happened, I had seen, because Ireland has done this most amazing job of bringing all the tech companies to Ireland, I could see that if I wanted to progress my career, I needed to go home. Because the head office of Twitter, Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, and HubSpot are all in Dublin. We've got a place called Silicon Dock, and it's just got everything you could possibly imagine. So the Irish government has helped all these technology companies come. So I sat in Sydney and I went, let's close this agency down. I had only Australian clients. And I went home, and again, through one of my cousins, actually, she gave me a contract to do marketing for her real estate business to get me settled back at home.
Was that pretty successful, her real estate business?
Okay. That went really well. And at the same time as I rebuilt my agency in Ireland, Get Focused, I got offered a job in HubSpot.
Oh, okay.
I was employee number 45 in the office. And,
and now they have hundreds, if not
700 is in the Dublin office right now, with another building being planned across the water, across the river for another 700.
And what did they hire you to do?
To consult to digital agencies on when they get the platform, how to market and execute the platform for themselves, so that an agency would learn how to attract more leads for themselves, and then they would then resell the software to their clients. And my job was a channel consultant. At the time, it was a new role, which they had kind of carved based on my experience of running an agency. And we were a pilot in Dublin for what is now, there were 3 of us. I think there's now maybe 400.
Oh my goodness.
Channel consultants who were there to help agencies. And then the progression to what I'm doing now is just, it was a simple step. I would work with agencies for 6 months, talk about their sales and marketing. And then after 6 months, kind of run out of a conversation, go, what do we talk about now? And they would come to me with problems like, I don't think we're profitable. How do we hire? How do we run this business? So I took a journey to go off and find the best agencies who'd figured out how to run profitable, healthy businesses. And I came across Marissa Smith, who had implemented a system called the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And you can start on that journey with a book called Traction from Gino Wickman. And I started there. I went, well, let me upskill. Who's all the agencies who are doing a great job? Let's me learn how to do this. And I would engage with a conversation with an agency going, here, help yourself with this book. Let's do it together. And I turned into more of a business consultant in HubSpot, and was lucky enough they supported that in a program that they put me on. They moved me out of channel consultant and more into helping businesses in more advanced conversations.
So now you are a preferred consultant by HubSpot, I assume.
That's right. And learning and getting information. And again, this is what I say to people. It's like, I didn't have the pressure of running a business and figuring out my brand while I was figuring out myself, my personal life, figuring out who I was going to be on the other side of the world. I had to rebuild my network. I had to rebuild who was I, home again with, at 40 years of age. And I had that fantastic network. I got exposure to all the HubSpot agencies. I spoke at Inbound twice. They flew me over and back to Boston multiple times. So, but I was still an entrepreneur. I was building my book and my IP inside in the business, and they knew, and they were fine with that. So I feel there's the hard road, the torture road, the hustle road, the sleeping on couches road. That's good, but go and work for a company for a while.
Learn a lot.
Learn and absorb and build your network. And in the evenings, write your book. And in the evenings, have your podcast.
Yeah, have your side hustle as well. Yeah. And you see, I think you're extremely smart in the sense that you were able to utilize HubSpot as a resource, and they're able to use you as well as a resource. I mean, it's a beautiful partnership, it seems like.
Yeah, and since I've left, I've been invited back in. I was speaking on a panel at Inbound a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
I've been on some of their marketing. I do webinars with them. Some of the CAMs and CCs, the channel account managers and the channel consultants, still message me asking for advice, or they'll recommend my book, or they'll tell listen to my podcast, Agency Life. So, I'm still in the ecosystem, but I don't have to be in the actual physical office with them.
Right. Very cool. Well, do want to, before we run out of time.
Oh, yeah.
Change gears a little bit and talk
sure.
a little bit about what you'll be talking about tomorrow. So, I mean, your presentation said it'll attract, engage, and delight rockstar employees for your agency.
Yeah.
That sounds really great.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
So I get asked this question by agency owners who meet me. They go, "What's the number one problem that an agency has?" And I have this. It's just been like a revelation since I left HubSpot. Most agency owners are very good entrepreneurs, and they can manage really well running a business with 3, 4, 5 people. They'll hire employees, but they'll kind of but at the point of 10 employees, there comes this disconnect where the entrepreneur goes, the team doesn't seem to want the same things that I want. The team of employees needs structure, routines, a project started and finished, holiday, leave mapped out, benefits mapped out, career plans mapped out, all the things that an entrepreneur agency owner couldn't care less about. And but the employees need that structure from the entrepreneur, but the entrepreneur doesn't know how to give it to the employees. Yeah. And that's where it starts. So this loggerheads kind of goes of everyone trying to work the opposite way. And my first thing that I do is let's harmonize this going. The entrepreneur, you need to give the employees what they need: structure, routines, time, the career plans. And you're the entrepreneur, you're going to go over here and do this. And it's okay, you can harmonize together. So through that process, hiring people, keeping people, onboarding people, there is never a structure for that. So I've worked with hundreds of agencies, and what I'm going to present tomorrow is a 12-step process on how to find them yourself, because recruitment companies, it's hit and miss trying to get them to understand the culture of your agency, and it can be expensive. Agencies need to always be hiring, have a bench, have rock stars, they're in a job.
Yeah.
They're not going to be sitting at home waiting for you to call them on a Monday morning. So build that rapport, and get a bench of people going, hey, if we get this project in that we're working on and it starts next month, would you like to come and work on it? I think we heard about the Hollywood project from... Who was that from?
Ryan Dice.
It was from Ryan Dice, about building a project team around a project, which kind of sits in very well with what I'm talking about. So it's things like that. And then planning for your employee. As so many agency owners, the employee will come in and there's, I forgot you were starting today, Jack. Let's rustle up a laptop for you. And they go down to the shop and they buy a laptop, and all of this kind of carry on. And there's some really big numbers on the amount of people that leave within the first 60 days.
Because of just little things like that weren't addressed and taken care of.
How nervous you are. You know how you feel. And the last thing you want is not to be welcomed or to be forgotten about on your first day. So that's what I'm going to be explaining: how to pre-board, onboard, how to give them all the career plans and the structure that they need so that they turn into these really happy employees that are so happy that their family and friends see it and they become referrals for your business.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, I know that resonates personally, I think, with us and where we're at right now in the stage of our agency. So I think a lot of our listeners will get a lot out of that as well. And it doesn't just apply to agency owners, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure most businesses, as they get to a certain stage, start to struggle with that, start to struggle with people. And, as entrepreneurs, we focus on that vision and we just want to go get that next sale.
Yeah,
and we don't think about what are the employees thinking, especially that new onboarding process.
Yeah.
So,
and that's so true. And I think that just brings up another small point as well, is I could quite easily take my presentation deck tomorrow and speak to a small business chamber or speak to local business or speak anywhere in the world. But the reality is I don't do that. I am so niche. I only want to talk to digital agency owners. They are so crazy and so eccentric and so passionate and so amazing to be with. They drive me a little bit crazy sometimes. But that is the choice that I've made. And I get that a lot. I have opportunities to work with other businesses, but I always rein myself back in, and saying no to lots of business is something I teach agencies as well. But it's so far, I guess I'm successful. I'm sitting here on a podcast with you guys.
You've made it.
Yeah.
Life
This
goes.
is the pinnacle of achievement right here. You
I
are
can go
on this
home. I can go
podcast,
home
Clodagh. So, Clodagh, I have a question for you, and this may be very useful to anybody who's looking to start a business, whether man or woman, or they have an idea.
Yep.
They want to go and be an entrepreneur, be a business owner, go down that path. What's the number one thing you would say to that person if they had the chance to meet with you?
I definitely would be to get the book Traction and set up your business based on the entrepreneurial operating system and do it while you have a job.
And where can they get that book?
Anywhere on Amazon. It's on Kindle as well, or Audible as well.
And it's called Traction.
Yeah.
And by who?
Gino Wickman.
Yeah.
And that's where I would start. And I would also just say to them, if you're in a job, stay in the job. If you're in, or even if it's a part-time job, even if you hate it, I don't care. Some of the worst pressure you can put yourself and your family on is trying to follow your dreams when you're under financial pressure.
Yeah.
And this is where you make silly decisions about hiring the wrong clients or working with the wrong people. And I've been that soldier for way too many times, and I would never do it again. Don't do it to yourself. There's no need. There's Upwork, there's part-time work, there's fun work, there's plenty to do. Get paid to do what you love. Get paid to work on your side hustle. And even better, like all these technology companies, hundreds of them out there. Go in and sit and work in there for a few years. A couple of years, build it on the side. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Great advice. Absolutely. Well, Clodagh, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we tune out, where can our audience find you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, so Agency Life is the podcast where you could get to hear more of me. And then if you just look at growitgroup.com, that's my website and the blog, and it will direct you to everything that we have on there, how to get my book or how to work with me directly. I do work with people directly, even though it doesn't look like it, because I seem to be giving so much free content. But I love working with agencies to whip them into shape and just get the business basics right. So that's it.
On the web, that's growitgroup.com.
That's right, yeah.
And then is there any social media links you want to...
So Agency Life, if you go at Agency Life, by Grow It Group is my Instagram account. I've been posting up some pictures for the last few days.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's where everything is.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.